But what I love about Juicebox, Jim and Mike, all of these people just pouring out their knowledge into their agents. I mean, they constantly are giving. What can we do? How do we make it better?
Today, I am joined by Wendy, who is actually the spouse of one of our agents. He's in our Agent Shift Plus program. He's as well one of our partner agents. And so, Wendy, thank you. I'm really excited about this, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting me. This is kind of fun.
Scott's beginning with Juicebox. What's so interesting, and I think people have commented on this in the past, is that Scott was actually only in the business for about 6 months before he found Juicebox. And so, can you kind of comment, what was it like for Scott in that first 6 months prior to finding Juicebox?
It was stressful. Honestly, it was stressful for him, but it was really stressful for me. I feel like Scott is always on the quest for perfection, be that good, be that bad. But he loves to do research and due diligence. He is a YouTube constantly watching freak. I mean, he loves YouTube, loves to just get more and more knowledge. And for the first 6 months prior to him finding Juicebox, I felt like he was starting and stopping so many things, because he would know immediately. He was like, this is a great idea. And he would do it, he would turn it on, and he would know immediately, this is not the right thing for me, this is not the right fit. Um, Honestly, I think that if I'm correct, he found Juicebox on YouTube through videos or something. He just kind of fit into the flow with the Juicebox, and it just clicked, and I have to say, even to this day, though he's been with Juicebox now for a little over a year, he still dabbles and he still tries other things because he's always trying to grow, always trying to expand his business. How does it get bigger? How does it get better? What am I doing that can be streamlined or be automated? That kind of thing. And while he throws the ball and tries to stick it to the wall, it doesn't. And we keep landing back at Juicebox. And so, probably literally a week ago, I said to him, when are you just going to stop? When are you just going to realize that, like, this is where you are and this is where you need to be? And when you ask it, it happens, and the collaboration is amazing. And it provides you everything you need. And what I love is that Juicebox is growing with Scott and helping Scott to grow. So it's a total win.
Well, I love that. And I really appreciate that context. So you kind of given that overarching story around how Scott has, you know, how he started in the industry and how he's kind of been working with Juicebox. Can you speak to the changes since Scott has started working with Juicebox? What changes have you noticed for him personally, professionally, in his business selling IUL and annuities? Can you speak to that?
I see that he loves the interaction with people and helping people. And it doesn't matter if it's small, if it's large, if it's extra large, whatever it might be. I think he gets that just core of himself gratification of being able to help people. And I have to say, he gets that not only from clients, potential clients, but he also gets that from the people within Juicebox and the other team members within Juicebox. He's able to impart that knowledge to other people. And I think that that helps him feel, just a sense of goodness and a sense of belonging and a sense of empowerment too.
The professional side, which I think you spoke to, but what about on the personal aspect? Because, maybe something to touch on is that up to that first 6 months, it was a difficult road, I think, for Scott, right? That first six
Right.
months in insurance was challenging.
Right.
And finding Juicebox for him and what he said in the past is it's been a bit of a pivot point for him. And
Yeah.
really when he was able to, see that there was something in the business that allowed him to help others. And so on the personal side, what do you think has been the impact for Scott personally due to his relationship with Juicebox, specifically speaking to that kind of 6 month before and after?
He just, Scott, if you have ever met or talked to Scott, he's a very confident person. He can talk to anybody about anything. And I mean, there's so many times I have to like drag him away when we're in the grocery or, something. But I think it's just really elevated his level of confidence in look at what we've, because this is a business for both he and I, it's a partnership. And look at what we have accomplished in the last year and a half. That first 6 months was painful. I was very concerned, because I didn't see that he had a radiating joy around what he was doing. I think for him, he was constantly trying to chase the numbers and trying to get to a level that he could not attain. He didn't have that support system. And so I think you can just see this kind of ease within him, this kind of calm. And he's like, wow, this is amazing. This is all making sense. But he continues to push himself to a new level personally, which also obviously drives his profession, but he's just calm, confident, and I love that. It's like he's got this little switch that's like I'm empowered and I can do so many things and I can conquer so many things that I never knew was possible.
What do you think it is about Juicebox that has given him that confidence that you've described?
I think it's the core of who Juicebox is with Jim and Brian and Mike and the amount of knowledge that you guys all possess, the ability to listen to what Scott is asking for, saying that he needs, and going, you know what, that's a great idea. Let's talk about that and we'll get back to it. And they do, so it's that willingness to be flexible, to not think, well, we're Juicebox and therefore we know it and we don't have to listen to anybody and just follow what we've laid out and everything's going to be fine. They're flexible and so easy to have conversations with. And actually, there's times Scott's office is right on the other side of the wall of mine. And there's times in there, I swear, I'm sure they're not working. They just have a great time. And I think at the core of, that stinking saying, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. I don't necessarily know that I buy into that because it's still work at the end of the day. But it's so nice and it's so refreshing to be able to come into what it is that you do on a daily basis and really truly enjoy being with the people that you're with that support you and give you that foundational knowledge and allow you to grow and aren't stingy with their knowledge. They just want to pour that out and give that to their agents, which in turn makes everybody successful. And I think so many people miss that mark.
It's a wonderful insight, and I appreciate you sharing just that beautiful, thoughtful insight. Something I am curious about, and you brought it up already a little bit, was that Scott, even though he was in a really good place with Juicebox and enjoying things, he's of the personality to always go out and explore, and that's wonderful and that's encouraged. And so you also mentioned that you encouraged him to kind of come back and to really, in some ways, I think what I heard was double down on Juicebox. And so
Yeah.
what was it about all those other experiences that made you recognize that Juicebox was where he should be?
I have to say, for me, the team is just grounded. And what I love about when Scott flies off, we'll just say he gets, a moment and he's like, oh, I'm going to go and try this or do that. And I think that so many other people, other companies, other service providers, they talk a good game and they're very willing to take your money. And they don't deliver because they don't listen. They're very much about talking about what they can do. They overpromise and they underdeliver. And I've yet to find that with Juicebox. Scott asked for something probably about 3 weeks ago. And he's on his way right now to Nashville and it's already done. It's ready. They're ready to flip the switch. And he's like, okay. And that was the precursor to me saying, when is it that you're just going to stop? Like, look what you've asked for. Look at in the timeline that they've delivered. And they've said everything that they're going to deliver, they are delivering. And that's huge. That makes him I want to say more confident in the things that he can provide to his clients, but it also makes him more confident in just his day-to-day operation and how we run that business.
Wow. Very powerful. Thank you for sharing that as well. I guess, there are so often those instances where an agent will come in and they will have had the experience that you've described, which I think is being overpromised and underdelivered to in some other arena. They've worked with a different, lead vendor or company, and they've, sadly had that experience that you've just described. And so, what would you say to the partners out there, either business partners or spouses of agents who are exploring Juicebox? What would you say to them from the other side? You guys have been with us for
Yeah.
16 months roughly.
Yeah.
What would you say from the other side to that person?
I hear a lot of people say, again, office on the other side of the wall. So I hear a lot of conversations with the team on Juicebox and just Scott talking to other agents. And I hear people say, I want to be like you. I want to get, to where you are. But he's got this foundation that he has. This business wasn't built in a day. It wasn't built in a month. It wasn't built in 6 months. It's a lot of trial and error. It's a lot of failure before success. And but what I love about Juicebox, Jim and Mike, all of these people just pouring out their knowledge into their agents. I mean, they constantly are giving. What can we do? How do we make it better? We know that we have this, but is this working for our agents? Let's listen to our agents. So things take time. You're not born into stardom in a month or two. So you've got to grow, you've got to get there, you've got to learn. You have to be accepting of that feedback. But the wonderful thing about Juicebox is that feedback goes both ways. It comes to the agent and it's heard from the agent back to Juicebox.
Before we do part, is there any other pieces of wisdom that you want to pass on to agents that are potentially exploring Juicebox, to the partners, spouses of agents who are exploring Juicebox? Anything before we part that you want to end on?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, it's not like, after 16 months, I'm like, got this sage advice, that I can throw out to people. If I could say anything to people, it would be trust the process, and everybody uses that phrase now. It's become, just bandied about like nothing, but really trust the process with Juicebox. I think that they have the agent's best interest at heart. They're not growing exponentially. They're growing at a rate that is sustainable and that they can help you to become a better agent and learn the things that you need to do on those building blocks, those formations, that the foundations that you need. So they're a great company. Love them very much.
Wendy, it has been a pleasure. Thank you
Thank you.
so much today. Really, wow.
Well,
Really, really appreciate
it
your
was an
valuable.
honor for me to be asked. I
My
truly appreciate it.